Welcome to the Personal Trainers Who Care podcast. My name is Catherine Marion, and I'm a manager and trainer at Freeform Fitness at our Wellington location. And I will also be your host as we get to know another member of our incredible team. You've heard me say it before, that here we share the stories of our personal trainers because at the heart of every fitness business is a passionate individual who cares about changing lives. But there needs to be a heart not only behind the fitness business, but also behind the entire team. Today's special episode has me chatting with the heart and soul of Freeform Fitness, our very own CEO, Ashley Ann Lawrie. Her journey with Freeform Fitness started well over 10 years ago, and it can only be described as ever-changing, yet somewhat perfectly steady. Today, you'll learn more about our boutique-style personal training studios from our leader's standpoint. Welcome to today's edition of the Personal Trainers Who Care podcast. Hello, Ashley. How are you?
Hello, I'm great. Thank you for asking me to do this. Usually I let the trainers do it, but it was fun to be asked to do this too.
I know, I think it's really exciting because I think compared to many small businesses that we tend to know, oftentimes the person that sort of runs everything is in the background and we don't necessarily know them, but you are really involved. Like, you're here and not involved in a micromanaging, want to know things. You're involved because your heart and soul is really into this. And I think it's fun for people to actually hear from you as opposed to just know your name and not really know about you.
That's awesome.
So let's go back, 10 plus years ago. How does this start for you? How do you get involved in what is now Freeform Fitness?
That is a very fun question. So my brother had started Freeform as a big box gym. And at the time I was going to school for business admin, and my background came from a high-end spa and service background. I loved working in like a higher end salon and spa, and where I could, service clients and just kind of get to know these like incredible individuals. And I remember I was working as a contract position at Callian for recruiting. And I would go on my lunch hour to Kanata into the gym and just kind of like, brainstorm with him on different ideas. And then I could use like my business background and just kind of come up with ideas. And then eventually I needed a car. So this is not like a wow moment, but I was like, I need a car, so I need to work part-time. Is it okay if I can work as the front desk? And I used to work at the front desk at New Body Dimensions, which is still a big gym here in Ottawa. And then he was like, yeah, sure. And then we started doing a few hours, and then I went in there and I was like starting to change everything. Like my controlness came into play. And it was a pivotal moment that I will never forget. And it was this client that would come in and she would renew her membership, and God bless her. I still, think about her to this day. And she would come in January, renew her membership. I would see her maybe twice, and then she would leave, and then I wouldn't see her again. And then it was this rotation of feeling like I can't take her money anymore. It doesn't feel right. It feels very, yes, it's a, $1,200 going to our bank account, but it was not why I got into, doing what we do. So it was a moment where we had to take a step back and realize, like, what is our purpose? What do we want to accomplish in this world, as human beings and as a business and as part of a community? So we decided not to take memberships anymore. And that was our whole business. That was our whole revenue. And it was such a crazy, you kind of have this, like, what if nobody comes? Like, what if we've made a wrong decision? It ended up being the best decision we've ever made, but it was still a scary moment in business of saying, like, wow, it could have gone either way, but we really knew that our purpose was bigger than just, saying hi to people. Like, it was like, no, we can change lives here. Like, this is way more exciting.
Okay, so clearly now, this is way beyond working the front desk, right?
Oh yeah. At this point,
from here, your role changed. So you sort of got there so you could have a few extra hours and make a few dollars, and then you've got these ideas. And so over the years, how does your role change at Freeform Fitness?
Yeah, so it started off part-time, super like, oh, I was, going to college, living my best life. And then, but I did have 3 jobs. So it was a busy time for me for sure. And then I just decided, so I was at a crossroads. I had been offered a full-time position at MXI Technologies, which is an aviation company, and they offered like full benefits and a salary, and I hadn't even finished school officially. So it was a real honor to be offered this position. And my brother was like, no, can you come work for me full time? Like, take a risk completely. And I took the risk. I decided I'm not going to go with a secure job. I'm going to go with something that I think I could do really well in. And then from there, I evolved into a full-time role. I wasn't making much. I think at the time I was making like $29,000 a year. But I risked it all. Like for me, the most important thing was just kind of doing something that I was super passionate about. I was working 6 a.m. till 8 p.m. every day. And we built something so crazy. We had people from Orleans driving all the way to Kanata to train with us. So it was mind blowing. So that thrill, weighed out the money side and the security side of it. I was just like, this is what I was meant to do.
That's funny, because my next question was going to be like, how did you know this was the place you wanted to be? But I think your heart almost told you.
Yeah, and it was so easy. Like it was, I love talking to people. I love getting to know people. And then people start opening up, and they start telling you really, really honest, and they're the most vulnerable, so in that moment. And I just really got a sense of like, I am making a difference, and nothing in the world could kind of take away from that feeling of feeling like, wow. And then to get a result at the end of saying like, you've changed my life, and then you have tears involved, and you're like, I'm able to do so much more. And it was just like this adrenaline that I was like, where am I ever going to feel this in life, like of like really contributing to making somebody's life that much better.
That's amazing. So,
yeah,
we start with Kanata, where you have one. Now, fast forward, we are on the verge of celebrating 15 years.
Yeah.
We go from Kanata, and then we add 5 more. So now there are 6 of us in Ottawa. What was that journey like for you? Because clearly, okay, so now you've got a winning recipe when you're in Kanata. So gone are the memberships, and now it's like, we want to help you. Like, we are 100% invested in you. And then it just kind of gently sort of snowballs, but in a delightful way.
Yeah, we started getting people noticing us and saying like, hey, are you going to open up here? And then I remember my brother and I kind of worked on this map of Ottawa, and we call Ottawa home. So for us to kind of feel like we're contributing to our community was incredible. So we had mapped out exactly where we wanted to be back when we decided we were going to actually grow locations. It was definitely a hard decision because we didn't know. It was figuring out the how. Okay, now we decided we wanted to. Now it was figuring out the how. So the first one, we did have a partner, and we learned a lot with having a partner. And then eventually that partnership disintegrated. Like in business, you kind of go through road bumps. And to say that it was like a journey like this, it was not. It was the most roller coaster experience of different emotions that I can't even, it put me out of my comfort zone. I was out of my comfort zone probably every couple of months. And then we had the byword, and then that one just thrived. And then we're like, okay, so we can do this. So that was in 2010. And then in 2011, we're like, okay, now we're going to go to Wellington, which is like Wellington West. We wanted Westboro, we couldn't afford Westboro. So we went to Wellington West, which was an up and coming kind of, at the time. It was interesting that where we went into was like this old vacuum shop with bars in the windows. And we just completely revamped it, turned around, and took another risk saying this is an up and coming area. And it turned out to be like an amazing spot for us.
I know.
I know. But at the time it was like, it was Mechanicsville. So anyway, so that was crazy. But then juggling 2 was easy, but then you're juggling 3. And then so the balls started to fall. And I know you juggled a couple of weeks ago. So, the feeling of like, there were too many balls, so I couldn't, personally, I was at this point the general manager. I had no systems in place. I had no processes in place. I was just kind of going on the fly, but it didn't work anymore. It worked with 2, but it couldn't work with 3. And I think that was a really pivotal moment in my career of saying like I had a mental breakdown, like not like where I'm crazy. Like I just had a moment to myself of saying like, I can't do this.
This is not long-term. Can't keep this intensity long-term.
And I think I actually went in to quit because I was like, this is not good. And then my brother was like, listen, I understand your mental health is super important. Just as reaction to my reaction of saying like, I realized, okay, I'm not quitting. Like I don't quit, And then I sat down and I was like, don't bother me I need a week. Don't bother me for a week. I researched, I reached out to my mentors. I was like, I need to fix this problem I'm having. And then I read all these books. And then finally I was like, I implemented all these systems because systems create freedom. So that allowed me to kind of think clearly. And then it changed my whole mindset. So that was 2011. So the next time we added in a new location was the Glebe in 2015. Then I was like, okay, I'm ready.
You're ready. Yes.
It took me time to get there.
Yes. But, I think that's the wisest decision because we often hear about businesses who grow and they get excited by the growth. And with no systems in place and no procedurals, and help, because you've got a great right-hand lady that we all love as well.
Yep.
Even more now. Back then it was just the one, but that's allowed you, that was sort of the safety net, if you will, that allowed the growth all the time because you had all of this in place so that you could just keep sort of going on this path that you were in, which was clearly success.
Yeah. There were so many things. It was like the people that we needed to hire, even the customer service experience was like, I was the face for so long for so many of these clients and they built relationships with me. And then, to just have that consistency was crucial for me. It was everything to me. So, and I couldn't give it, so that was like a real, and as I said, it wasn't overnight. It took me a couple of years to say, I got to dive in deep here and figure out how to perfect this so I can grow accordingly.
Yeah. This kind of, in a way, sort of brings me back to our tagline. And as long as I've been here, almost 6 years, it's been personal trainers who care. And it's never changed. That's been the tagline. And I remember when I very, very first started, that was the tagline. Now that I've been here for so long, I really get it. Explain to everybody, like, what does that mean, for us and for Freeform Fitness?
Yeah, so there's usually 4 different categories when you're talking about like what your purpose is. And, for us, we were on the verge of like, do we go down mastery and expertise? And yes, it's so important for us to be experts in our field. Or do we go more an altruistic purpose where it's like, and then I had to sit with myself and meditate a little bit of saying like, no, I really love helping people. And I went back to the core of why I was able to work, the 6 to 8 and just kind of love what I do every day. And for me, that was just like, I cared, I really cared about these people. And I think that, we can hire great people but it's hard to find people that really truly care about people, we'd like to think that there's a lot everywhere, but it's definitely a gift. And so I just really wanted to attract those people. So if I put it out there, I knew that we would attract the people that really are looking for proper care. And then we would have trainers that cared more than anybody else, so that was the idea behind it.
I think it's really great because now we hear it back from our members, from our clients. And they say it, I can't believe you're texting me on a Saturday asking me how my kid's soccer game went last night. But we're so invested. We're so connected to, I call them our people because they're a part of our lives. They're here 2-3 times a week. They're a part of our lives and it matters to us, right? But that comes from, that doesn't happen all on its own. It happens because it trickles from everybody from the top. Like we're all on the same page about really wanting the best for people coming in to see us.
It's so true. And, you know, and there's so much that goes into it. And when we did survey a lot of our members, the number, like, that's what we kept seeing is like, my trainer cares, my trainer like really feels like he cares, or she goes above and beyond. And she just, and we're like, we have something so real here and honest and pure. And I just want to protect it at all costs.
All right. Well, listen, let's talk about, speaking of protection, we got to dive into the last 15 months. Let me tell you, March 2020, I know, right? We're all about to pull our hair out. So March 2020, I remember how it was for, I was here and there was this feeling of uncertainty. And we're like, I think things are about to change. And we couldn't have known then what we know now. But as a leader, how do you react? Because, for us, it's like, I guess we close our doors and we can't come in to train. But for you, it's like, the investment, our members, your team, the trainers, and you've got it all. How do you deal with something? So, we're not talking about a financial crash. We can almost prepare for that, mentally, right? We're like, okay, we know if everything crashes, here's what this is, out of, a Stephen King novel.
I know, it's just crazy. This was probably, so this happens once every 200 years, typically. So it was hard because usually if something goes bad, I reach out to my mentors, my peers, and I'm just like, what do I do? And this was a special circumstance. And, for us, when we were bought out in 2016, we were bought out by Jim, who's like this lovely gentleman out in the US, and he's just so smart. Right. So, he came from a corporate background. He survived the 2008 crash that we had. So, while it was so different because there was still that unknown factor, it was still something that I could kind of, go to him saying like, I've never, we survived the 2008 crash because we were in business. We'd been open for 2 years. This was, when Facebook was starting. So we had already built our business on word of mouth. So we were really lucky to kind of not go through that. But that was, if I'm being brutally honest, and I went into a moment of like uncertainty as well. I have a family, my husband works as well. So we were all like, what is kind of going on here? So we were just taking it day by day. The number one thing for me was the people. I needed to make sure my people were okay. If I was feeling uncertain, I can only imagine how they were feeling, and just like their bills and just making sure that they were well taken care of was my number one priority, because that was, I can only imagine how they were feeling if that was in my mind a little bit too, for my own husband and my own situation. And then I knew we were going to see a recession at some point. I had no expectations of it being, 15 months of this. So every time I would just kind of roll with the punches, focus on what we can do in our control. We adapt, we pivoted, we realized, okay, well, we can move our business online. This was like a lot of conversations. A lot of times, I have to give it to our team. Like I wouldn't be where we are right now had it not been for the team, because I couldn't think clearly when it was so cloudy in my mind of saying like, there's so many directions, there's what's real, what's true, what's not true, what's kind of going on. Like there was just so much information that it was hard to take it all in, So you had some people kind of taking their direction, saying no masks, and fighting it. And then you had some that are, so we're like, well, it was, what's like, let's avoid the noise. Let's kind of go within and figure out what we want to do as a company here, and what stand do we want to make as a company? And it was all about, we asked our people, like, how do you feel?
And it went back to the personal trainers who care almost, because we're like, okay, we care enough that, because then we, if everybody remembers, we opened and closed and opened, people were allowed to open, but each time, we, in the middle of all of this, in my particular location, we had changed the whole gym. We put in 2 new machines, which allowed people to be 3 meters apart, each in their own zone. And we had masks, and and hand sanitizer, and we closed the showers, and so we made specific steps so that people could realize, okay, we know you need us and we care enough to make these changes, and you're safe in here. And the feedback we got was really phenomenal. And this is just one location, right?
Yeah, and we adapted the space. That was something that we thought, well, okay, well, now's our chance to kind of invest in equipment and making sure that we can allow for proper social distancing, so that our clients feel comfortable and safe to come see us. But when you look at it from a business standpoint, this year alone, we've only been open in person for 6 weeks, and we're now in June, almost July, so to the fact that like we've made it, like I feel we're almost at the end of our window. I feel like because we're hitting our vaccination numbers, it's good. But the fact that it was like, it feels really good because we'd always, as a business, it was so important to plan for if ever there was a recession or something like that, that we just weren't able to grow. And it was fast decisions, and proper decisions, but we had this backup plan. But thank God for the subsidies and the support that we did get, because that was like the hardest thing, like we got so savvy, and it was never just a one person thing. It was like a joint effort of everyone coming together. We did lose some people in the mix of it, because some trainers there was just so much going on, and they just felt like this industry isn't doing so well, and this is going to be a long thing. But then we had amazing people rise to the occasion. And, I had some trainers being like, you don't have to pay me, and then I was like, I can't not pay you. Like I really appreciate that. But like, that's pretty amazing that we've built something so great that people are like, hey, I know that this is a moment in time, and I'm here for the long haul.
Let's say, I have to add to that. So some of us were saying, don't worry about paying us, but some of my members, because, some of our members, they have contracts and they pay every 2 weeks, and this is a choice that they make. We offer a whole bunch of choices, but this is just one example. And, we offer to put payments on. Clients were saying, don't put my payments on hold. Let them go through. I'll use them up anyways. I just want you guys to be around. And I thought there were so many goosebump moments, right? Where, and then when our gym opened, I would say to this client, okay, I'm putting your payments on hold, because now we're going to use up your sessions. You don't have to pay for the next, X weeks. Because it's like, it's a give and take. They were so good to us that we want to be good. There's just something really beautiful about this family that we have. Because each gym feels like it's a family.
Yeah, and that's what I've always wanted, a place where you can, like, it's my home away from home. And I feel that when I go, and I want that space to feel like that. And that's a really good point about the members too. Like, we wouldn't be here if it weren't for our members and our team really stepping up and just kind of like helping us through this whole period, because it was such a crazy time. And just to feel like, wow, we spent so much time caring about people, and it just kind of came back tenfold. So there were as much as there were hard times, you're right, there were so many goosebump moments of just saying like, wow, I'm truly blessed.
Then we pivoted. So many of our members pivoted with us. So you mentioned it. We decided to offer virtual training, which was pretty much new for all of us. And it just went smooth. And the clients, those that felt like it, there's a good bunch of them, went to virtual. Then when the government allowed outdoor training, next thing you know, clients were like, sign me up. And now we've got more people that came back to do outside training in parks, and, and then we did this.
Clients that we hadn't seen in years, reach out being like, hey guys, I'll do the outdoor stuff. And we're like, what? This is amazing. And we missed you, like it's
and then the personal training with friends. We've got this new little program that's happening, which is exciting. So we pivoted to all of these things and found a way to continue to help people, because they continue to need us, right? This has been a hard year for everybody. And we know that physical activity is a way of calming the mind and keeping us healthy. I mean, it's not the only thing. There's a lot of aspects. I'm not going to minimize our mental health and our physical health, but we know it's a part of health in general, moving, staying active. Yeah.
And that was also, it was a hard challenge, because I understood like a lot of people are now sitting at their house, like they're not necessarily moving as much. Some people went the extreme and they found themselves being way more active because they had a little bit more time on or flexibility with their schedules. But what I was I pay attention to the market, and I'm just kind of standing back saying like, what are people talking about? What are they discussing? And it was a real thing of feeling like I've gained, 10 pounds or 15 pounds during this whole COVID situation. And for us to say, listen, there's no judgment here. Like, it's okay to start up all over again. We'll get you back to where you need to go.
You're not alone.
It just felt, you're not alone. You're not alone. I can't even tell you the amount of messages of people being like, oh, I'm so weak. I've gained so much. And I'm like, that is irrelevant. We are here to help you, and you don't need to know, like, we treat you as you're starting all over again. So this gives you time to start fresh, but yeah, we've pivoted. Gosh, we just listen. We put our ears to the ground. We listen. We're like, what do people need right now? Their mental health is really affected. Let's do a youth program to help as many mental health, because they're all at home doing schooling right now. And that was pretty mind blowing.
No sports in their school, right?
Yeah. So that, like, for every decision was like, I can't just sit back and allow them to just kind of coast through. I was like, what can we do? How can we help? Well, we know that we can take care of physical health. This isn't ideal because it's on a computer and they're on the computer all day. But it was always like, how can we help, our clients who are homeschooling while working full time, or grandparents that are helping out the parent. Like, it was just the world was in shambles, and we just felt like, what do we do best, and how can we help in this situation?
Well, we're talking today. We think we might have 4 weeks to go ish, and then we hope, that this will be the end. But if it's not, we know what to do, and our members know that we're still here. Thinking about how we're close to reopening, and we're about to start a new venture. I know we maybe can't give all the details, but can we share a little about our venture with Kaven?
Yeah. So we, this moment in time allowed us to really work on the business, and not in the business. So when we're in the day-to-day operations, you kind of just, I'm in the growth phase, or I'm in the development phase. So this moment allowed us to kind of say, what is missing for our clients that could make a huge impact and difference? And we, when we go back, because I love to get to know our people. So all the data, all the surveys, we look back, and a lot of it was the nutrition side. Like, they wanted a little bit more guidance on the nutrition. So we reached out to Kaven, and we were like, hey, you guys do one-on-one nutrition. There have been a lot of different nutritionists out there, but their way of thinking when it comes to nutrition didn't really align with our way of doing, where it comes to nutrition, but theirs aligned perfectly. Yes. So we've kind of collaborated to create this amazing program, like a transformative program, so that, and we're hoping to launch this, the idea is for September, because we figured we've all had a really long year and a half, and this will be a really great program to get you from point A to point B quickly, because we know it takes proper nutrition, accountability, and exercise, as well as like supplementation. And then there's so many factors, especially if you're a woman, hormonal, all this fun stuff that kind of goes with being when you feel like you're carrying a little bit of extra weight everywhere. So we're like, let's do this, and let's just help people reach their full health potential as soon as possible, so that they can kind of live the life that they've been wanting to live for the last year and a half.
Yeah. Well, it's so exciting. So we're going to have that to look forward to. And as we always do when we've got new stuff, we always share it through all of our social media outlets. And so we'll be able to keep everybody abreast with this new venture for hopefully in the fall. So, we were able to talk about a whole bunch of stuff, business, but let's talk about you. So now, aside from being our CEO and, making sure everything runs smoothly, you also live, you don't just preach it, you live it. You train with us, right? Yep. And you train with us through your pregnancy, because you're expecting baby number 2 right now.
Yep. I'm 7 months pregnant now. So
you don't just say it, get out there, stay healthy, do your thing. You're actually out there training.
Yeah. And it's so funny right now. So for me, I'm feeling lately like I got to dive back in, and I started doing the meetings again with a few consults, just so that I can ground myself again to understand our clients. So I do that every now and then, and I just kind of take over and say, okay, I'm going to do a few consults here so that I can get to know the people that are coming in. And it was funny because my go-to line is always like, I've been here for 15 years. I know what I need to do. I just don't do it. And I find myself, really relating to clients and understanding that moment of saying like, oh, I would choose to do anything else other than working out. But I know the value of it, and I do it because it's healthy. But I'm not the type that's like the diehard trainers that like just like love it, so for me, it's the accountability piece. I can justify 30 minutes in my mind. I'm like, it's just 30 minutes. I love that I have rules for my trainers, like no sweating. I don't like to be too sore. I allow them like a little bit of time, like to negotiate. I try to negotiate my exercise because I have to mentally prepare. So they tell me, I'm like, hey, what am I doing today? And they'll be like, I don't want to do that. Let's change that up. So I'm actually a really difficult client. I know the trainers probably hate having me. But I'm real. And I understand the health benefits. I understand I need to do it. And I do it not because I love it. I do it because I need it. So,
But you just proved the point. Most people are like that. They don't come in here with bells on always. Some of them do, but they never leave regretting it. And the fact that a client can say to us, we can think on the fly. We can adjust it. Whether you came in and said to me, I'm really sore from the last workout, we can pivot, change the workout. And if you say, I don't really want to do legs today, so you'll either get one or the other. We'll say, suck it up, buttercup, and do the legs. Or we make a quick change, but we know who our clients are. We know who our members are. And so we're able to have these conversations. Like, you're proving a great point.
Yeah. And that's a good one too. Sometimes the trainer will be like, oh, you used that last time. This time we're going to work through it a little bit. And I'll be like, okay, fine. But no, and I do train on a regular basis I've really understood like it's a lifestyle, and it's more of even nutrition is a huge part, and I look at food as fuel, but I also look at it as like healing and wellness, and I do want to be that role model for my own children, and just I want to live a long healthy life. So that kind of outweighs the I don't want to work out but I need to.
Awesome. Yeah. All right. Well, and this second pregnancy is not slowing you down. I mean, we're still seeing you every week. You're still active. You came out to the park last week when we all kind of got together for a socially distanced gathering, which was so lovely because we miss people so much. We're such a people business, right? So.
Oh my God. Yeah. And we thrive off of connection. So the fact that it's on a screen, it's so different, but it is, it's adapting, like it's adapt or die at this point. So this pregnancy it made me a little bit more tired. But I look at it like the pandemic as frustrating as it's been. I try to look at the glass as half full, and I'm like, I got more time with my daughter who's 2. I got more time with my husband, like as a family. So I can look back and saying like, I got so much time before baby number 2 came. It hasn't really slowed me down. In fact, my first pregnancy, I delivered in 12 hours and bounced right back in terms of, it took me, the breastfeeding was a little bit challenging, but overall it was a pretty good experience in terms of recovery. And I had to stop working out at 5 months pregnant, the first one. And this one I've continued to work out. So I'm excited to see my recovery after this one too.
Absolutely. That's so exciting. I have 3 finisher sort of rapid fire questions, but before we get there, I always love to bring this up because oftentimes people don't know, but tu es bilingue. Oui. Alors, si les gens viennent chez Freeform Fitness, entre toi et moi et Jules et Lily, il y a plusieurs personnes qui sont francophones. Alors, s'ils veulent discuter de choses très personnelles, ils sont capables de le faire avec tellement de personnes, incluant notre CEO.
Oui, c'était super important pour moi d'avoir quelque chose qui était un peu plus bilingue, à cause c'est ma première langue. Ça fait longtemps que j'utilise plus l'anglais maintenant, mais j'étais à l'école en français pendant 12 ans environ.
Oui.
Alors, c'est super important que j'ai des gens qui sont bilingues pour aider tout le monde à Ottawa.
Oui, parce que quand les gens parlent de choses très, très personnelles, on a tendance à vouloir le faire dans notre langue maternelle. Parce que les gens qui viennent nous voir, des fois, nous veulent discuter de que ce soit des symptômes, des maladies ou des difficultés personnelles. On a tendance à vouloir le faire dans notre langue maternelle. Alors, on est très fiers, toi et moi surtout, et les autres, de pouvoir le faire, l'offrir en français. Et d'autres entraîneurs parlent d'autres langues. Je ne les connais pas tous par cœur, mais on est vraiment un groupe diversifié.
Absolument.
Super.
C'était très important pour moi.
Awesome. Okay, we'll go back to English because that's how we started. Rapid fire questions for the end, all right?
Okay.
What's something you know now that you wish you knew when you first started running this business?
Expect the unexpected. I think it's really hard. Like if you have no control. Ultimately, things are gonna play out how they're meant to play out. You can just like show up, do your best. But I think I was really hard on myself when I was younger and just frustrated. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it's gonna play out how it's gonna play out. And all you can do is give it your best, plan for the future, and learn from the past.
Amazing. What is the first skill you would teach another leader?
Oh boy. Mentorship.
Nice.
I really think I would not be where I am today without really amazing. Like I'm part of the WPO, which is a group of 15 strong business leaders here in Ottawa. They have to reach a threshold to be part of this group, and they're all business women, all have families. So it's been really that's been my. I've had many mentors, but I think that has been huge for me. I'm the youngest, of course, so they've all had a long career. So find a group of people that are willing to help you and invest in you, and just kind of feel where it feels like your safe place, because you're not going to have all the answers, and it's important for you to feel like I like self-care. I need a safe space to kind of just be my true self and just kind of share my true feelings, but also have the guidance. And I know personally this one group in Toronto, because it's worldwide, this whole WPO network. The woman came and her business was about to go bankrupt. The women came together and saved her business from being bankrupt. So there's always people out there that are willing to help, and leadership is a game of like, you need a lot more people involved. It's not just a lone leader.
All right, last one. In order to post-pandemic, let's say everything goes back to as whatever normal is going to be, what do you envision for Freeform Fitness?
I envision us to be like the one-stop shop for your health. Like I feel like a lot of people had a rocky road the last little bit, and they're looking for answers. And I feel like they've gone through like the snackings, like there's just going to be so much repairing to do. I think there's going to be a lot of healing to do. There's been a lot going on in the world, from the indigenous, like there's just so much kind of going on that I feel like it's a lot for people. So I see Freeform just being a safe space where people can come heal and get their health back on track. And right now we're just focused on the Ottawa market, and going back to our roots. For a while there was growth outside of the city, which made that really challenging during this pandemic. But now it's like we want to kind of go back to our roots and help as many people as possible.
Perfect. Great answer. I like that.
Okay.
Okay.
I was like, I don't know.
If people want to find you, let's say people are interested in learning more about our leader. I know that you're in many areas on social, not just as Freeform Fitness, but you yourself. Where can people go to kind of learn more about you personally?
Yeah, I mean, I'm an open book. If they have questions, like just Instagram, it's Ashley and Lawrie, and then LinkedIn. I get a lot of messages on LinkedIn these days. I'm a little bit more active, and Facebook. I mean, I'm everywhere. So just send me a message, and I'd love to chat or and get to know you or hear your story or anything.
Fabulous. There you go. Listen, thank you so much for joining us today. That was, such a treat to be able to talk to you. And for me, it's a treat because I want everybody to see the you that I get to see, because this is you all the time, always positive, serious about what we do, but always in a positive light. And so being able to share sort of you with everybody else, I think makes me very happy.
Oh, thanks, Kat. And we worked together for like 6 years now, and I love you to death, So
Thank you.
we asked, I was like, there's nobody else I would rather have this meeting with and this one-on-one with. So thank you for
Thank
asking.
you. Thanks, Ashley. Listen, thank you to everyone watching us today. Be sure to check out our past podcast to get to know even more members of our team. And while you're there, make sure that you like and subscribe for even more great health and fitness content. And you can even leave us a comment. We always enjoy responding to those. And so that is it for today. We'll see you next time. Thanks again, Ashley.
No problem. Bye.